We were gamers. Episode 16.
Episode 16?
Am I wrong?
I think so. No, wait. You're right.
This is a great way to start.
Yeah. On fire right out of the gate.
JJ, I'm so sorry I'm late. You didn't have to come at me like, I'm instantly wrong, though,
Well, it's that thing where sometimes I just instantly want to contradict whatever the other person says, even though that's not actually true. You were right.
See, this is just more ammunition for my argument of eventually I'm just going to stop counting.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
If you're going to count me wrong, even though I keep counting because you tell me to keep counting, I don't know what the point is, man. I don't even know what the point of any of it is.
Got to have continuity, Andrew. The people need to know what number we're on.
Yeah, well, it's really important that they listen to them in order.
Yeah, because definitely there's a through line here.
What is We Were Gamers, JD?
Well, Andrew, We Were Gamers is a podcast by you, Andrew, and me, JJ, who have been two friends for a very long time, who used to play a lot of video games, and now maybe don't necessarily do that as much. And we just talk about it. And not necessarily just video games either. We talk about all kinds of stuff. TV, movies, whatever.
All sorts of stuff. And that was your most professional intro yet, I think.
Thank you. If you want to sponsor this podcast.
Oh boy. It was a busy week for us personally. We had some family and continue to have family in town. So
oh, cool.
Not a ton of gaming on my docket in terms of actual physical sitting and playing of games. Hearthstone adventure got in the next wing.
Nice.
Figure that out. Pretty fun.
It was pretty cool. I enjoyed it. I thought the fights were a bit easy.
Oh, really?
Did you have any issues with them? You didn't do the heroics, did you?
I continue to wait to do the heroics so that they are available to me past the adventure, so I continue to enjoy Hearthstone.
Gotcha.
Did I have any trouble? My answer to you is yes and no. No, because I just use a fun mage deck to beat all of them, which is like my secret mage, because everything's wild, right? You can use any cards, so I built this mage deck that's all just anti-letting the opponent do anything with secrets, and the computer doesn't play around secrets or anything, so
sure,
it's basically a cakewalk. The unfortunate thing is, in the match where you play against the one who makes everything 1/1s.
Yeah, the wolf.
The first time I played it, I drew nothing but spells for the first 4 turns.
That probably makes it tough.
Yeah, so I didn't win that the first time around, and then the second time I drew, everything. So I just won.
I believe that I beat every single heroic with the same completely unmodified ladder wild paladin deck.
Heroic, that surprises me.
So the heroic ones I did have to modify a little bit. The normal ones, though, I completely brain dead. I just walked in, no experience what the fights did, and I just won without thinking.
Yeah.
Like, click and drag the guys to the face. And very easy.
Well, I don't know why the healths were so low.
That was going to be the thing I was going to say. Like, it felt like they undertuned them. Like, they thought they were too hard, so they lowered the healths down a bunch. I don't think that was needed.
Was it because of the heroics?
I don't know, because I thought the heroics were easy too. Like I said, I got through the heroics. Some of those heroics, I used the same unmodified ladder paladin deck from Wild that I won with. Like, it was depressingly easy.
Yeah, I'll have to get back to you on that one because I haven't played any of the heroics, but I would agree that the base ones, but it has always been kind of the case with Hearthstone that the base level ones are kind of mindless, not entirely, but
so
since the first adventure, you haven't really had to modify your deck. You can go in with any deck you want.
Yeah, agreed. Like the normal ones are not that tough, right? You can get through the normal versions of the adventure with pretty much any deck. You're not going to have a ton of trouble as long as you don't just like blatantly ignore the mechanics of whatever the thing is.
And I think
And
that's
and
kind
that
of
was
how it should
okay.
be.
And that's fine. Yeah, but like I felt this one was especially easy. Like I would win some of them before I could see some of the mechanics. Just because like I won on turn 5 and 6.
Oh, that's interesting. I guess that's no good.
Yeah, I don't know. And usually the early parts of the adventure are easier than the later parts, but I felt last week was much tougher in general.
Oh, okay. I was gonna say you sound a little bit let down. Maybe only this week then.
Yeah, I mean, I had fun, and the fights are cool, but
Hmm.
it's just I don't know. I felt like it could have used some more challenge somehow.
How are you settling in with the new cards? I have barely laddered since 2 or 3 weeks ago before the adventure came out because of all the house stuff and family and everything else. Because been working on my office and entertaining people from other countries and other states. So it's fun,
Sure.
but you don't get a lot of time to digest the meta per se. You just get to play a few quiet things at night,
Hmm.
which is good. But you probably have more experience with how this is affecting the game.
I don't know that I have like tons of experience, but I can say that definitely some I have noticed is that hey, Barnes is pretty good.
I thought that
Uh,
guard was going to be good.
and not only is he pretty good, but he's pretty good in decks that are already good.
Oh, okay.
So, like, expect to see your Death Rattle Hunters and your, other decks with already strong minions become stronger. So, that's not necessarily great, I think, for the game. Like, especially the fact that you just drop him in a Hunter deck and you just get great stuff. Pretty much every Hunter deck has like 12 targets for him that are pretty good. And I define pretty good as anything that doesn't just give you a vanilla 1/1.
So good that he will basically just be rebalanced.
Oh no, they're not going to change him, but it's just that it makes a deck that I don't think is a particularly interesting deck to play or play against stronger.
Should we just call it now? And he's the new Dr. Barnes.
No, I don't think he's that strong.
Oh,
Because I mean, you have to have targets for him, right? It's just that deck has a lot of guys with either death rattles or passive abilities.
copy. All right. So not game breaking, but worth putting in most decks.
Maybe not most decks, but like a lot of decks.
Gotcha.
If you can look at every minion in your deck, and if that minion has either a death rattle that basically if that minion doesn't care about the stats on the minion, if you're playing it for its either death rattle or ongoing effect, so like Direwolf Alpha, Sludge Belcher, like these guys that have things that happen regardless of what the stats of the minion are,
Mm-hmm.
he's good. If it hits Ysera, for example, you get a 1/1 Ysera, who cares what the stats on Ysera are? It still has that sweet effect. 1/1 Ragnaros, these kinds of things.
Yeah. Okay.
So I imagine there's going to be like better decks to put him in than that one. It's just that's the one I've seen him in the most. What else? The Resurrect Priest stuff with the Onyx Bishop and the Resurrect cards is maybe interesting, but not necessarily good.
No one thinks Priest has improved at all.
Yeah, I think the Resurrect stuff works. There's enough of it that you can actually do it, right? You play Injured Blade Masters, you be really careful not to kill things that suck. So when you resurrect, you're always going to get something good from it. You get like 3 Sylvanuses or whatever, and you're going to just win the game. Or you're not going to play anything for the first 3 turns because you can't play minions that suck, and Priest has no good 2-drops, so you're just going to lose. You know,
Yeah, that's the problem with playing Priest right now. I think is you just
it's tough.
you build a deck basically that's like how well does it recover from not playing the first 3 to 4 turns.
Right. The card that I will say that has been extremely helpful for Priest is Priest of the Feast. And that guy is awesome. I don't think he was from this week, but that card is really, really good. 4 mana, 3/6 is really great stats, and his effect is just really good on top of that.
But Mage already has a 4 mana 3/6, and I mean, so it's not a unique stat line or anything.
No, it's not. But it's very durable, right? Like it's very unlikely to be killed,
Sure. Yeah,
except by
especially because they've
fireballing it
removed.
directly.
Yeah, but they've removed all the removal, so a lot of things just don't die.
Yeah, but I mean, if you play something that's a 4 mana 3/4, like Barnes, for example, right, there are going to be cards that people have played on 3 that can kill that.
Fair.
So he's pretty sticky. His effect is good. It helps you catch up too. Really good card. Is it enough? I don't know. Not there yet.
Gotcha.
But yeah, I've been playing a lot of Wild still as well. And Wild in that game is starting to get really nuts, dude. I could just tell you, like, Hunter in that meta is out of control. Like, they have an amazing drop for every single part. Imagine the like most disgusting things I can think of, right? Is on turn 5 Sludge Belcher, turn 6 Savannah Highmane, turn 7 Dr. Boom, turn 8 Call of the Wild, turn 9 Call of the Wild, turn 10 N'Zoth. I don't think it's possible to beat that if they have that series of cards. I think they just automatically win the game. It's disgusting. Absolutely disgusting.
Yeah, I think Wild will be where I try again at the end of this to push, because it's just like at a certain point it's all going to be coin flips.
Mm-hmm.
So you can just literally turn your brain off, watch
totally.
Netflix, and coin flip your way to Legend.
Well, and every deck seems to be running Eater of Secrets, the guy who destroys secrets and gains +1/+1.
Well, because everyone's playing Secret Paladin.
There's a lot of Secret Paladin, but there's also a surprising amount of like Mage and Hunters,
right?
Both of whom use secrets. And even if you're playing Eater of Secrets, like at worst he's a 4 mana 2/4, which is really garbage stats, but hey. But if you eat the Mage's Ice Block with it, holy cow, you just win the game, right? Like they just lose.
Absolutely,
yeah. So it's pretty good. And one of in a deck, like you could probably fit it in there as like a tech choice. It's real interesting. Anyfin Paladin is really, really good. Even in Standard, actually, is starting to become played more. I saw a couple of them this week, which surprised me because I wasn't prepared for 28 damage to the face from Murlocs. So yeah, Hearthstone, man, still a pretty good game.
Yeah, I hope that it survives this adventure. A lot of people in the tertiary involved, not the direct people that are always complaining or always saying it's fine, like the players who are saying, oh, this is horrible, everything's broken, but they continue to play. Or the players are like, everything's fine, it's just the game. Learn to play the game the way the game is. A lot of the people on the outside fringes are kind of saying, well, it seems like they've lost a class completely, so maybe they're just losing their mojo overall. I'm just hoping that's normal kerfuffle from new cards,
Yeah, I mean, who knows where it'll settle once all the cards are out, right? It's hard to say.
Exactly. I know a lot of people, though, that have kind of fanned off of it, especially because of Overwatch and, weirdly, World of Warcraft.
Andrew, there are so many people on my friends list playing World of Warcraft all the time.
I don't get it.
They released a new expansion with Demon Hunters, the thing that everyone has been wanting since the beginning of that game.
So everyone's back, huh?
I guess. Try it out, I guess. I'm not going.
I'm not going to do it. I mean, it's literally just like playing new spells on the same skin, Like,
I mean,
it's different.
It's not new. It's not the same skin. It's a different skin. You look like Illidan now.
Yeah, but like
you got the sweet two swords.
It's still like wow. Like it still looks the same. It's just.
I mean, they've done a lot. I think you're not giving them enough credit for the amount of work they've done on the graphics and stuff. It's not exactly the same, but I mean, the gameplay of it is still the same, right? You can't change how you play the game. It's still an MMO.
Yeah, maybe that's what I'm saying. It's like, yeah. What is the new draw other than replaying an MMO that you've... I guess maybe if you put that much time, energy, and money into it, maybe it is good to replay the MMO.
Yeah, I mean, they gave away every single expansion up to this one for free, right? Everyone owns everything before now. So in theory, if you just wanted to play a game for 10,000 hours. All the previous content for World of Warcraft's out there for you.
Yeah, but nobody's playing it, so you're not going to get to play any of the raids or anything, right?
No, you can solo all those raids.
Oh, you can go back from the
these
levels that you have now and solo everything.
Yeah. A max level character, I think, could probably solo everything up through probably the expansion before the most recent.
Oh, okay.
I'm guessing. I have no idea.
If you designed the game, that'd be how it would.
I don't know. Man, it's been so long since I did that stuff.
Well, I guess maybe unless we start a Hearthstone podcast, we shouldn't spend the entire time talking about strategy.
Yeah, cards. But it's what we've been doing. So hey, we don't get to talk the rest of the week. So
it's man, so much time goes by. But you and I, as on a lark last week, I mentioned Spaceplan.
Yeah.
And it was enough to get you interested enough to play it, and then you told me something that triggered me in a good way to try it out, and that was it has credits.
Yeah, so Spaceplan has an end. For a clicker game, I thought that was pretty weird.
I thought, okay, so as we discussed last week, it's an idle game or clicker game, which means that you basically spend forever gaining numbers to make bigger numbers to make bigger numbers to make bigger numbers for infinity, basically.
To get multipliers on your numbers that then make the numbers bigger, to make them go up faster, to make the numbers bigger.
Right.
Yeah.
Spaceplan took that model and said, why don't we try and tell some sort of wacky story with it?
Yeah, it's a weird story.
It's a very strange story, and towards the end of it, he's just like, whatever, this is the story, move on, don't think about it at all.
Don't worry about the science too much.
But it's cool because it's kind of like a text adventure, and you don't really quite know when the next little piece of information is coming. You're like, oh, I did that thing, and it told me if I do that 3 more times, I get more information. Mm-hmm. That's cool. It's kind of like a mystery story in a way.
Yeah, you're trying to figure out what's going on.
Yeah, and
your little spaceship computer or whatever is super snarky too. I think it's pretty funny writing.
It is very funny writing, and I thought, wow, this is unique. Like, first of all, it's an idle game, so once the numbers start going up on their own, I just left my laptop open and like read a book and kept checking in every 25 minutes. I didn't even use a clicker script like you did.
I think that's a good way to play those games.
Absolutely. So I'm advertising for people who might not have been interested in them before, but this one specifically, I've never understood the point. Like, I make fun of you about Cookie Clicker, etc. I've never understood the point of these until like this guy came along and created this little mystery, and so you dragged me into it, and then I got to a certain point where I was very tired, and I needed like 5 million watts or whatever, so I just left my laptop open overnight.
Yep, that's all you got to do, man.
The next morning, I had like 1.6 billion, and I finished the game.
You were rich. Yeah.
It was pretty cool, and so
did you scroll back and read all the funny dialogue?
Oh yeah. I didn't miss too much because I was at a point where I needed to buy a capsule.
Oh, gotcha. Okay.
Yeah, so nothing could happen in the story until I bought the capsule. Until you
did that, yeah.
Anyway, for people that might be interested,
you could put a link to the game.
Oh yeah, I should put a link to it. Yeah, Spaceplan, one word, but we'll put a link on the website so people can
cool.
try it out.
It's a browser thing. You just open it in a computer browser and run it. Don't recommend doing it on your phone. It's gonna probably not work, and if it did work, it would probably cause you to have a bad time.
I think it would probably ignite your battery, literally.
Yeah, don't do it.
I mean,
too many numbers.
You know what it reminded me of with all the text and everything?
Mm-hmm. What?
I know that it's not related at all, and you couldn't do this, but it reminded me of like a choose your own adventure story.
Yeah, a little bit. It's kind of had a like a Zork feel. Did you ever play Zork?
No.
Like those old text adventure games where you're like, move north, you are in a room.
Oh,
that kind of stuff.
Okay. I mean, I played text adventure games for sure. I don't know why. Like I said, it had no bearing on anything because you don't choose anything. You just sort of move on. But I kept thinking about the old Choose Your Own Adventure books. Like when you read a book and then you said, well, if you want to dive under the bridge, go to page 10.
Mm-hmm.
It was weird.
And the text being the entire medium, I guess, maybe is how you got that
maybe.
feeling.
I don't know.
There's no real interactivity, though, and I think the story is the same every time. So
I'm 100% guarantee that the story is the same every time, and there's no interactivity, which is kind of nice because I don't feel like I ever have to go back and play more cookies.
I mean, I guess there is some interactivity in that you have to click that stupid button.
But you only have to click it
for a little bit in the beginning.
50 times, maybe?
Yeah. You don't have to click it that much until it actually gets rolling. Or you can run a JavaScript that clicks it for you.
Thank you for taking my joke game mention and making us both play it. That was
it turned out to be good.
The mystery was worth it. It was worth it.
Yeah, that ending, man.
I'm going to post a picture of...
Is that going to be the picture of the podcast?
Yeah, but it's just going to be the planet, so it doesn't give anything away.
Yeah,
But when I was placing my towers, I made a human figure, so I just kept placing them in the same rotational spots, so it just has arms and legs.
Nice. That's pretty good.
Yeah. It's pretty funny. Did you see the new Bastion movie from Overwatch?
Yeah, the little character short that they've been doing for some of those guys, right?
Yeah, I really like these.
I did not like the Hanzo one. It was Hanzo, right? They had a Hanzo one?
The Hanzo and Genji one.
Was it for Genji also, or was it just Hanzo?
I mean, you watched it and didn't like it, but you don't remember that Genji was in it?
I mean, I know Genji was in it, but is there more to Genji's story, or is this just the story of both of them?
I think that's the most you get right now.
Okay. Well, I liked this one a lot more than I liked that one. How about that?
I liked it because we got flashbacks to the actual Omnic crisis, so we understand more what it is rather than just people being like,
oh, that was
Omnics
a thing.
Are robots, and we fought.
Yeah.
You got to see cool. Where the Reinhardt suit came from. You got to understand the Bastion's mentality in war and how he was connected to the other robots and all that sort of stuff.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it was really fun. That bird is really cool. I like that bird.
There's been a lot of fan art of him and the World of Warcraft bird.
World of Warcraft bird?
The little Pepe, or whatever it is. It's like another bird in World of Warcraft that looks similar.
Oh, okay.
So they're they're doing the whole anime art, putting them together, sort of.
There is a large fan art community for Overwatch.
Yes. I was just gonna say, for people even that don't play Overwatch, I think this is a cool idea, and hopefully it's leading to some sort of maybe series of animated things. In a way that would be more regular and not just every couple months when there's a Gamescom or a BlizzCon or whatever, there's a new video,
Mm-hmm.
I think that I would be interested anyway in seeing the Overwatch universe expanded with animated shorts every once in a while regularly.
Yeah, I think their
maybe if they're written by somebody else,
is probably to put that stuff out at a pretty regular clip. I don't know how often they're going to be doing that, but we'll see. This one was real good. I thought, anyway.
Yeah.
I'd like to see him, little bird come pecking on his face.
All right. Should we complete the normal every episode Blizzard gamut?
Yeah, might as well. We're already here, right?
All right. Hit me with your D3.
So, I was on the internet, Andrew. This might come as a surprise to you.
Wow. Did you know that Time Magazine, in their print edition, wrote an article about the internet today?
Wow.
Yeah.
They have a print edition still?
Yeah, and it's about internet trolls.
Oh, wow. Real up with the times.
Oh, yeah. They're really trying to earn my money next year.
Yeah.
You should not. Crack reporting.
Should not subscribe to magazines in the year of our Lord 2016. Anyway, there on some part of the internet, I read that people were so Blizzard has sent out the goodie bags for the 2016 BlizzCon to people, not like you and me, people who are going to BlizzCon, but special people who have internet channels and YouTubes and stuff, I assume.
Oh, okay, because I know that you were able to order the BlizzCon goodie bags as well early
Yes.
this year.
So they have sent them to people who I will assume are called influencers, which are just people with large YouTube channels, I assume. And they sent them, like, what is the goodie bag, right? Like, here's the goodie bag. This is what people will get. So you can see the cool mug and the stuff that comes in it. One of the things that comes in it is a set of dice. Like the various dice you need to play a role-playing game. D20s and D12s and D10s and
Cool.
D8s and D6s and a D4. And they're all Diablo themed.
Okay.
And that wouldn't be that remarkable, except for the fact that there's actually a printing error on the 4-sided die.
Printing error, intentional printing error.
Well, we don't know, obviously, but it seems that everyone got the same misprinted 4-sided die. And for anyone who doesn't understand what we're talking about, a 4-sided die is a little pyramid, right? It's like it comes to a point at the top, and there's a 3-sided triangle on the bottom. All the faces of the die are 3 sides. And when you roll a 3-sided die, whichever side ends up landing down, right, whichever side is flat, if you look around the edge, the number that's printed on that edge that's facing, or that's on the table, is the number that you rolled. However, on this die, it makes the die unusable because there is a printing error such that some of the faces have 2 numbers on them. So, for instance, if the number 1 is down, right, 2 of the sides will have a 1, and one of the other sides has the 4. And it's the same with the face that's opposite, right? So there's a face that has 2 4s and a 1, I think. I'm not sure. Anyway, it works out. But people thought that was interesting because all the dice are misprinted this way. How did no one notice? That seems like something you would do to check.
People don't use 4-sided dice anymore, really?
That's true. They're not very common. I can only think of a very select number of things that would use a D4, and all of them involve old editions of D&D. But Andrew, do you know that November 4th is the first day of BlizzCon?
Yes, I did know that.
It is.
Mm-hmm.
A little suspicious that the numbers 1, 1, and 4 are on the face that happens to be misprinted.
Interesting.
And also, these dice happen to be Diablo themed on a D4. Now that's pretty suspicious. So,
Is there enough goodwill right now with Diablo for them to launch a D4?
I'm sure it would be pretty hyped. There has also been people out there in the internet speculating that there is intent to release a remastered version of Diablo 2, which is, some kind of thing.
Same with StarCraft 2, I think.
Yes,
not StarCraft 2, but StarCraft.
Same with StarCraft Brood War, yeah. A sort of up-res remaster version of that. So, it's a cool idea that maybe is hinting at something, or maybe is just a printing error on dice.
Well, that would kind of line up with their other, like hinting things with the Sombra thing being kind of like, hey, Dia de Muertos, all that. So, that could be a hint. They're pretty into this ARG thing these days, as we discussed last week.
Yeah, so, it's a cool idea. And like I described it to you as a conspiracy. Who knows if there's any intent behind this at all, right? It could just be a complete error on someone's part, and some poor marketing person was fired over this.
Yeah.
Who can say?
Oh, that would be pretty funny if they said they had to come out and say,
we're issuing refund dice.
Sorry to everybody that got dice beforehand. You can pick them up at the main booth, get replacements.
Yeah, there you go, man. I hope they do that. That'd be hilarious. If your gaming experience has been ruined.
They should. Well, I guess at this point you shouldn't do it before before BlizzCon.
And actually, the dice aren't completely ruined, because even if you roll them right, all you have to do is see which face has 2 of the same number, and you would be fine. So, anyway, I just thought it was pretty interesting. Like I think we both said that we'd be willing to try a different Diablo game, just not this one.
All right, so let's take a minute here and describe what we would need from a new Diablo game in order for it to be something different enough from Diablo 3 that it's worth playing.
I don't know. It doesn't need to necessarily be that different from Diablo 3 for me to play it.
What does it need to not have for you to play it?
Well, the fact that it would be all new content would probably by itself be enough to get me to play it. I don't want that real money auction house stuff coming back, though. Please God, no.
I think that's pretty much dead. I don't think there's any chance of that happening.
One hopes. Because that stuff sucked real bad. But, if the content is all new, in theory the classes would be new, skills and stuff would be different, all that stuff. Yeah, sure. I'd try it.
I think we need less.
Less what?
Less game.
Shorter.
No. Longer story.
Mm-hmm.
Less just clutter and cluster, and each class has like 90 million abilities. Maybe make more classes with far fewer abilities. And
so you're just talking about simplifying the design of the playing.
Diablo 3, when I log into it now, feels like a miniature MMO.
Yeah, I can see that.
I would rather have a more Torchlight-esque dungeon crawler. MMOs elements are okay, but thinking like, well, Barbarian has 8 different armor sets, and that means they got like 2 sets of abilities for each armor set, and like you got 7 million crafting artisan things you can do, but really the only thing you're ever going to an artisan for is to re-roll a socket or to upgrade your gems, like or go to the blacksmith to destroy all your stuff.
Right, like stuff you don't want.
Like, just simplify all of it. Just get rid of the just busy work and clutter and the extra abilities, and just like, cool, you got Crusader. Well, your Q has 3 options, your W has 3 options, your main attack has 3 options. Done. You don't want those? Play Barbarian. Okay, well, you don't want those 12 options? Here's another strength class. You don't want those? Here's another strength class. And maybe each one has 1 or 2 epic sets. Or, streamlined, easier, less clutter. That's D4 to me. Head backward, not forward.
I think there are a lot of people who play that game a lot that would really dislike that idea. I don't know that I dislike it. I think that there are a lot of people who would, though.
Okay.
You're removing the complexity from the game and dumbing it down.
I don't think it's less complex to say, hey, instead of having 50 abilities for a class, we're going to have 20 and split and add another class.
Hold on, you can't. Okay. If you're replacing that idea with other classes.
Sure, yeah. Why do we only need, what do they have, 7, 8?
I don't know.
Or less? Like, make 16 classes, and then people can be like, well, I don't want to play 9 of these,
Mm-hmm.
It's a lot easier than logging in and being like, how do I play Barbarian? Because I have no idea if I want, Whirlwind, Rend, Cleave, then that's just one button.
Yeah.
It just feels like a ton of busy work, whereas if what you really wanted to do was play a really long story, it could be really cool to just have a very simplified class structure with less abilities that you run through most of the game with some of the abilities, and then let's say halfway through you get a new one, and it feels really fresh. Like, oh, I got this new ability, and it really changes the character. Rather than like every 2 levels I get a new ability, and I haven't looked in 20 levels because there's no point, because all the abilities do the same amount of damage until you get all the way up to fully geared and fully kitted out and fully leveled, and then you look at your abilities.
Some of that is also because you're leveling so fast that you don't have time to look at those abilities because you're going from level 1 to 70 in about 45 minutes or whatever.
Yeah, well, maybe we should rethink that.
Okay. Yeah, it's the game you're describing, Andrew, sounds a lot like Diablo 2 to me.
Yeah. Well, what's wrong with Diablo 2?
Diablo 2 is a really good game. I have nothing bad to say about it. The only thing that's wrong with it these days is that, man, that art looks bad on an HD monitor. That's
well,
what
hopefully
I can say.
you get your remastered version.
Maybe that'd be cool.
Yeah. I don't know. Maybe that's what it would take to get me to play it. But we live in the world now where it's like, wow, you got to make sure that everybody's engaged with your content. So there's got to be seasons, and there's got to be pets, and there's got to be.
Well, I think Blizzard has said that they would any game they make going forward is going to have some kind of online component. There's never going to be an offline only game.
I don't need it to be on offline. I'm just saying, like, it's all they've always got to, make it feel quote unquote fresh. Which is why they have the seasons and they have the battlegrounds and they have the this and that and the, I don't know. Rather than rolling out 5 characters and then, just like a board game or something expansion, adding 2 characters and then a couple months later adding 2 characters and then adding 2. They could really keep people engaged by doing micro expansions, more like other things. Like, think about like doing Talisman. Where you start out with, let's say, 10, and they're pretty basic or something, and then you start to add more and more characters that are more and more complex. But they're not complex because they have 100 abilities, they're complex because of the way the 10 abilities they have are designed.
Not necessarily a bad idea. I think the issue with that idea is the amount of art required goes up a lot when you're generating an entirely new character compared to generating skills for the same character. Okay. That doesn't mean it's impossible. Blizzard is certainly a company with the resources to do something like that. It would just require them to want to have that focus.
Gotcha. Well,
I think it'd be cool. I don't know.
100% speculation. I was just thinking, like, if you think there's D4 coming, I don't know if they're just going to reskin D3 and put it back out with more story.
I mean, I can't imagine they would choose to do that.
I'm just wondering, based on their design choices with other games, if they have anybody involved in D3 or World of Warcraft, I have a bad feeling that it would end up the same game.
I don't know. I imagine it would be built for the consoles first this time rather than having to put it out later. So there would be some design decisions probably related to that, which would then cause them to want to limit the number of skills probably, since consoles only have so many buttons.
Yeah. Speaking of old games, D2 and all that.
Yeah.
Chrono Trigger came out today in 95?
Really? That's a really good game.
I didn't know that. Admit something shameful to you?
Are you going to tell me that you never played it?
I played an hour of it once.
Man. That's not enough time. You should play more of that game, Andrew.
I feel bad because I really like the music from it, and I know a lot about the game, and obviously it's a really good Square game, but...
Mm-hmm. One of the best. In fact, some people might say it's the best one.
For some reason, I never finished.
Well, we all have our issues. I'm sure there's a lot of people in our audience who also have never played it.
I'm sure there are a lot that have, and they're screaming that I'm a phony right now.
Yeah, I mean, it's fine.
It's on my list. Short list.
Yeah, it's a good game. The game moves, and the combat is really good, so you don't feel that bad having to spend time, fighting all those battles, of which there are a good number. It's the art's really good. Story goes places. Yeah, through time. Pretty sweet.
Well, that was like everything I was able to get in a week. What were you up to?
This past week, I actually got in some time to play a game called Deus Ex Human Revolution. It's an older game from I don't know when it came out, to be honest with you.
How many games ago was that? Because they've had a new Deus every year?
No, actually, this was the
No?
most recent one
Oh.
until the newest Deus Ex, which is called Deus Ex Mankind Divided.
Oh, okay.
And that comes out, we'll say, tomorrow as we record this.
Oh, okay. So it'll come out Thursday.
No, it will come out tomorrow, as in
To
the 23rd of August.
the day before we put out the podcast.
Yes.
Got it.
So that would be yesterday to those of you listening to this.
It's already out, people. Go buy it.
Yeah, go play it.
Or don't, I don't know.
I mean, so I have known nothing about that game, other than people have said that it's a lot like this other game that I did play, Human Revolution. Andrew, have you ever played a Deus Ex game?
How do you want me to answer this?
Truthfully, I guess.
No.
I don't want you to lie.
I wish
No?
I had.
Okay. Deus Ex is a series that started a long time ago, maybe like the early 2000s, on the PC in a game that was called Deus Ex. And it's a cyberpunk kind of game, although I don't know how much on the punk end it is. It's a lot more on the cyber end. In the original game, you play a guy named J.C. Denton, I believe, who is in that world. There are people who have cybernetic enhancements. It's very common for people to have all kinds of cool technology grafted onto their bodies in very cyberpunk ways, so you can hack and do all kinds of cool stuff. And the game was notable in that it allowed you to accomplish its objectives in myriad different ways, right? I think people call that kind of genre like the immersive sim, whereas there's just a big world out there and you can sort of figure out how you want to solve the problems, right? They're just like, hey, the goal is get to this office and steal this disc. How you want to do that is up to you. You can sweet talk the guards, you can sneak through the air vents, you can shoot everyone in the building, you can climb the wall on the outside and bust in through the window, whichever kind of way you want to approach the problem. And the story focused very much on this global conspiracy, stuff like the Illuminati and the Majestic 12 and all those sorts of crazy conspiracy theories that FEMA is ruling the government and all this kind of stuff. And it was well loved, I think, for its time. It's a little bit tougher to go back to these days. But this game, Human Revolution, picks up before the original Deus Ex starts. So it's like maybe 4 or 5 years before that. And you play a man named Adam Jensen, who gets attacked very, very early on in the game, like the first thing, almost killed, and then they save his life by grafting a whole bunch of experimental augmentations onto him.
So you're kind of like RoboCop.
Yes, very much, in fact. You're the head of security for this biotechnology firm that is on the breakthrough, or on the verge of this breakthrough in transhumanism, if you want to use a cool word, becoming something more than human. They've found a way to get all these augments, to people without worrying about the risks of rejection and all this kind of stuff. It's very breakthrough stuff. And it seems like people are trying to cover it up, and this kind of whole global conspiracy rears its head again. And that game is really cool, mostly because in a modern setting, they managed to recreate a lot of what the original Deus Ex did, where they present you a problem. Hey, get to this place, climb this tower or whatever. And how do you want to do it? Well, you can enhance your cyber leg so that you can jump up 4 flights of stairs, or you can enhance your ability to go completely invisible and just walk past everyone. Or you can have an ability to hack all the computers so that all the security cameras are off and you can just walk by, and stuff like that. It's pretty fun. And then they give you all kinds of dialogues and conversations with the NPCs, and it's a really good time. I really, really like those games, and I'm looking forward to playing that new one.
Right on, man. Well, I know the cynical part of me thinks Well, you can only do the stuff the developers are basically putting in front of you. You can't just, go
Sure,
steal a truck
sure,
and drive it through the lobby and then,
sure. But that while that is true, you're right. However, they do give you a lot of different ways to accomplish every task, right? As opposed to giving you you have a large set of tools, and you can enhance your character in different ways in order to accomplish those various tasks. And usually, well, in theory, you shouldn't be able to do all of them at the same time. That might not always be true, but
right on. So, did you finish it?
I did get through it. Since I'd played it before, it was a little bit easier to sort of know what needed to be done. I sort of ran through stuff real quick just to remember how cool it was, and I remember that I really liked that game. People should check it out. Deus Ex Human Revolution. Pretty good.
Sweet. So, worth the time.
Yeah, totally. It's not that long of a game. I mean, in scope of RPG type things, I think if you did like every side quest or something, you could spend, not on the hardest difficulty probably would take a lot longer, but on like the normal difficulty or whatever, you could get through it in probably 35 hours or something. For that's a lot of stuff to do for a game like that. If you just want to get to the end, you could definitely get through it in a lot less than that, 20 or something.
I think you did something else that we got to build hype for.
Andrew, I finished watching Stranger Things this weekend also.
I am so happy to hear that because I did not know if you were actually going to watch.
Oh, well, I had mentioned to you that we started and we were just going to make our way through it slowly.
Yeah.
I wanted to watch it with my girlfriend, and it took her a couple episodes. She was not into it after that first one. She thought it was pretty slow and kind of boring.
Interesting. Okay.
To be honest, I also thought it was kind of slow, but I was more intrigued, I think, than she was.
Okay.
But like after the third one, it was pretty good. We were in, definitely. They got their stuff together.
Okay. So, hype train now special episode, or did you not have much to say?
Oh, I mean, I'd be happy to talk about it if you want to talk about it. I don't know how much you have to say about it.
Man, I just want to talk about the whole thing.
Yeah, we could
right.
we could break off and do a special episode later.
I would love episode incoming Stranger Things. I'm calling it.
Okay, sweet. I'll be happy to dish about it there. It's it was good. I really liked it. That's my review.
My review is also the same. So if you don't want to listen to the bonus episode, there you go. Really good. Go watch it.
Yeah, definitely. Netflix.
That's our non-spoiler review.
Netflix.
Yeah, even though it's now $9.99 a month, totally worth it still. I think because,
Yeah, definitely. They have a lot of good original stuff these days. And as long as they keep putting that out, I think, the price might be justified.
Oh, definitely. I mean, considering I've been paying $7.99 for years, and they're basically saying, hey, because of all this original content, $2 more a month. I think that's fair.
Yeah.
If they manage to keep up the rest of their content. And
that's
their solo content's going to hold the bag.
That's the question, right? Like if they stop licensing like the movies and the TV shows that I want to watch, right? Like if they all of a sudden just banish all Star Trek from it, which I don't know why the hell they would do that.
Oh man, no! If TNG goes away,
I'd be
no
super
longer
bummed.
friends.
Yeah, or if they just stop getting like the old movies I want to see or whatever, that kind of stuff. I would have to question my ability to provide them $10 a month. But the way it is, it's pretty good.
I think we should also do a hype and fair warning to people. Football season's starting.
That's right.
So this podcast is going to become all trash talk and fantasy football at some point soon.
Oh yeah, man. It's coming real soon, actually.
I mean, the preseason is halfway over for pros.
Yeah.
College starts almost imminently.
And nothing of value was learned in the preseason by pretty much anyone, it seems. The usual suspects are acting in the same ways that the usual suspects are. Getting injured and out for the season.
Yeah, everybody's blowing up their ACLs, and no team with a quarterback.
It's football.
No team with a quarterback question has figured anything out.
Mm-hmm.
Although I think Tyrod Taylor just got a huge contract, so I guess that's news.
Oh, okay. Okay. I don't know that I want to draft Tyrod Taylor, but hey,
No,
we'll see.
$30 million says they're going to start him, so
It's pretty likely he's going to start.
until he blows up his ACL.
Yeah, that's what I was just going to say. Give him 4 weeks. Go ahead.
I was going to say, for people that don't know, JJ and I have been playing in fantasy football leagues together for years as well, obviously, because we're friends, so we might as well be able to bag on each other for something we both enjoy watching and playing and doing.
Yeah, probably like 6 years or something now, Andrew. 5 years.
No, more than probably
Longer?
6 years.
6
Because
years?
it's been 2 years since we quit the league we were in for 4 years, so I think 6 years.
Yeah, 6. Okay. Yeah, it's been good.
I enjoy it. It really, the time commitment obviously is decent if you want to be good at it, but it really cements that fall is coming to me.
Yeah, definitely.
Obviously, it gets very, very busy in the fall, and it's going to be real fun to make sure we get the podcast recorded.
Yeah, we're going to have to. Monday Night Football is going to be a thing.
Oh, no.
Yep.
Oh, no, JJ.
Dun, 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 dun.
Well, good news. Oh, no, on Monday Night Football's over the air. No, it's not, is it? It's on ESPN.
I think it's on ESPN.
Yeah. So how am I going to watch it?
Dun, 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 dun. I don't know.
Well, we got to have like in the background during the fall. Monday Night Football
we will absolutely be sued.
No, not sound, but like we could have it on. We're not even allowed to talk about it, huh?
I think you're allowed to talk about it. There's really nothing they can do to stop you from talking about a game. But yes.
I think technically you're not even allowed to talk about who won the game. They say any dissemination of any information or whatever.
Yeah, that's bull. Sorry. I get mad about those things that they claim copyright over. That's illegal, and they cannot copyright your discussion of a live sporting event, which they are broadcasting on public TV or even cable TV. You're allowed to talk about stuff. We have free speech.
The NFL has a lot of money.
That's true. They do. I think it's a relatively open and shut case on they don't own your tweets from a football stadium game, right? If you want to tweet what's happening at a football stadium, like, here's the thing that just happened in this game, wow, the NFL cannot claim copyright on your tweet as much as they might want to. And similarly, they probably can't claim copyright on this podcast. So
we used the name NFL, and we also said
we're not allowed to talk about companies?
No, you can't. That's a trademarked blah blah blah.
We're not making money off this.
If you want to sponsor this podcast, make sure you understand that we are irreverent and use everybody's copyrighted information all the time.
It's not. Look, you're allowed. It's like saying I can't talk about McDonald's because they're a company. You can talk about McDonald's. It's fine. You can talk about the NFL.
And the Olympics. Olympics, Super Bowl.
That's right.
There you go, JJ. You and your entire brokerage portfolio are now broke.
Rip. Yeah, I'm excited. Football should be good this year. Andrew, I am joining a league at work that is an auction league.
What?
Have you ever played in an auction league before?
Is that where you have blah, blah, blah money and you bid each draft round?
Yes, there is no order. There is simply players put up for auction, and you have to spend your team budget. I forget. I think you start like $200. Then you get that amount of money to buy every single player in the draft on your team.
How did they pick the draft order for the players then if there's no team order?
I believe there's an order for who gets to put people up for auction.
Mm-hmm.
And the person who puts them up for auction starts with the opening bid. And then it goes to whoever bids the most.
Okay. So
it's literally an auction.
There's an order but the order doesn't matter to decide what player you want to put up for auction.
Yeah. I mean, there has to be some order. But that order doesn't matter, right?
Because
you can get any player.
I didn't know if it was like the commissioner says, like, Tom Brady's up for auction. And the commissioner says, Todd Gurley's up for auction.
The players nominate.
Okay. That makes more sense. And also forces someone. It's kind of like Power Grid. Like, hey, I want this power station.
Yeah. I mean, it's an auction. It's bidding, right?
Yeah,
so the first person says, okay, first up, Aaron Rodgers. because the order doesn't matter, right? It's just how much money anyone is willing to pay.
Mm-hmm.
And the order matters in some sense where like later in the draft, maybe less teams will have money available to bid on various people or whatever.
Right.
But, hey, if he's the star guy, the number one, whatever, you put him up first, be like, here we go. Let's do this right now. Who wants to pay how much for Aaron Rodgers?
I like the idea of that type of draft. I've never been a part of one.
I have heard that it takes potentially a super long time, but is apparently really, really fun. So
I cut down to 2 leagues last year, and I enjoy 2 leagues currently because it's just enough to keep track of all the players in my head that I have. Right when I got to 3 leagues, I was like having to check what players I had on which teams. 2 leagues, I can still do it in my head, so I don't have to keep checking each roster all the time.
This was last year. I think was my first time with 3, and I had to turn down a 4th one.
3 leagues is tough.
And I dropped one of those 3 leagues this year, and entered the one that I was turned down last year. So we'll see how that goes. I am excited.
I have that keeper league again this year. I'm keeping Tyler Eifert in the 13th round.
Okay.
Tight end, Cincinnati.
Sure, yeah. And 13th round is a good spot for him.
Odell Beckham, 8th round.
Wow, how'd you get that?
Because I picked him up off the waiver wire in the 10th round last year.
In the 10th
So if you
round?
picked up off the waiver wire, we were putting them in the 10th round.
Oh. No one drafted him last year?
No, I mean I picked him up 2 years ago.
Oh, 2 years ago.
Wire.
Okay. Yeah.
Then he went to the 10th round, and now he's in the 8th round.
Sure, because he goes up every year you hold him, right?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, considering that dude's probably a wide receiver 1, that's probably pretty good.
Yeah.
8th round for that guy.
Todd Gurley, 4th round.
Pretty good. How many keepers do you get?
3.
Oh, okay. That's a lot.
Yeah, I think it's a pretty good number.
You would get 3 keepers will probably mean that most of the major NFL talent will be off the board when you start the draft.
Well, yes and no, because like I had Antonio Brown on my thing, but he's a first rounder. I'm not going to keep a first rounder.
Sure. What happens if you keep a first rounder?
You lose your first round pick.
Well, yes, but
What
no
happens if you
penalty
keep
other than that.
2 first rounders?
Yeah. What's
I
to
don't
stop
think
me from keeping 3 first rounders?
I don't think you can.
Is there like a rule about that? Like, I'm just confused how that would work.
I think the rule now is that after 1 year at first round, the first rounders go back in the pool.
Okay. That's kind of fair, I guess. Can't hold on the same
and
guy
if you
for
end up with 2
5
first
years or
rounders, you
whatever.
can only keep 1.
Okay. How is it decided what round people are? Is it ADP?
No, where you drafted them the previous year, plus 2
Okay.
if it's the second year.
Gotcha. Okay.
Pretty fair system, I think. And then now, thankfully, we added the new rule that if you pick up somebody off the waiver wire that was drafted, you have to take them in the draft position. You can't get them as a waiver wire 10.
Ah, okay. Interesting. So like if a guy gets hurt, but he was drafted in the 3rd round.
Right. He's a 3rd rounder.
That's good. That's good.
Until next season if he doesn't get picked up.
Yeah, that's smart. Well, cool. That'll be interesting to hear how that goes as the season progresses.
Yeah, I'm sure that everyone will be super excited for us to sit here and read off our draft results on the 29th.
Yeah, well, hey, it's what you come to this podcast for, right?
Yeah, I mean, look, this is a podcast about stuff that interests us. If it doesn't interest you, tune out early.
Yeah, or don't and learn about the wonderful world of fantasy football.
Yeah, no, it's great. I guess each week we could kind of go into each a little bit more, talk about how drafts worked and how scoring works and how leagues work and all that sort of stuff. We could just line it up at the end of the podcast.
Or just every week complain about what went wrong.
I mean, that's going to be part 1.
Oh, okay, yeah, because that's going to be
part 1, just complain about everything, and then based on what we complained about.
How many weeks until player X falls off the rails?
Well, based on what you complain about, you know what to explain that week.
It's true.
It's
true. I'll have to be careful, though. Apparently, some people in this league still have it out for me, even though I was dead last in the league last year.
How many times you won?
I won 2 times in a row.
Okay, 2 times in a row means you need to pay the price twice.
I see. That's somehow being first twice in a row, even though one season barely counted because a bunch of people didn't play. Okay, I see. There's some kind of logic there. I don't necessarily agree with it, but it exists.
Yeah. All right, well, JJ, I haven't played Overwatch in over a week. Should we get out of here and go try some games?
Yeah, I think we got some time for some games, Andrew. Let's do it.
All right, man. Well, how can people keep up with all the amazing Instagram photos that we're going to post about Spaceplan, or the links that we're going to put out from the podcast, or any of that sort of stuff?
Well, if they want to find our episodes, in which the notes will probably have links to these things, you can find it at weweregamers.com. That's a website where our podcasts are. If you want, you can follow our podcasts on iTunes and the Google Play Store. Leave us a review. It's pretty good. Those places are great. We have an email if you want to email us questions, which is podcast@weweregamers.com. We have a Facebook, which is We Were Gamers. We have an Instagram, which is also We Were Gamers. I think that's it, right?
Yeah, basically, we were gamers and smart enough to get all the things to be the same.
We have a Twitter account, too. It's @WeWereGamers.
Oh, yeah.
There you go.
Exactly.
Follow us on the internet.
Follow us on the internet. Send us an email.
Yeah, ask us how to play fantasy football. We're not going to respond to that, but we might talk about it.
I think that there's a lot of questions about fantasy football that people have.
Is it gambling, Andrew?
No, it's not gambling.
Isn't it?
Daily fantasy is definitely gambling, but we can get into that on another episode.
We should probably get into it in another episode, yeah. Well, forthcoming bonus episode, too, for Stranger Things.
All right, let's not drag on.
All right, let's get out of here.